introducing ourselves. Please make sure to use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen to submit any questions that you have throughout the session.
Sure. Hi everyone, my name is Adam Rahim. I am an IBE Mechanical Engineering and Finance major from Syracuse, New York. I'm an orientation coordinator, which means I assist in the selection and training of orientation leader staff and the overall implementation of orientation. Before becoming an orientation coordinator, I was an orientation leader for 2 years. In addition to working with the Office of First Year Experience, I'm involved on the club soccer team and the Mead Investment Group.
Hi, I'm Ravi. I am a chemical engineering major from New York, and I'm also an orientation coordinator. Outside of working with the OFY, Office of First Year Experience, also known as OFYE, I'm also involved in a few dance groups and the school's South Asian Society. Sorry, they changed the name this year.
Hi everyone, I'm Sara Fuertes. I'm a marketing major and graphic design minor from Guatemala, so I'm an international student here at Lehigh. Aside from being an orientation coordinator, I'm involved in the Women in Business Club, the Photography Club, and Fusion, which is a class where we help design like logos, posters, flyers for different clients, either at the Lehigh campus or in the Bethlehem area.
So feel free to submit your questions through the Q&A box on your screen. Don't be shy. Oftentimes you're thinking the same questions as many other people watching this or in the recording that we're soon to be posting of this. Many of the questions will be answered, but not by us, but one of our staff members. You guys will be receiving a large volume of questions over the next hour. So if you don't have time for us to answer your question, it will be answered by one of our staff members.
Great. So we're hoping you're able to watch our move-in video. If you haven't, make sure you check it out on the OFYE YouTube channel. Just a reminder, move-in for international students is Sunday, August 19th. Students participating in Prelusion and the Marching 97 is on Monday, August 20th from 8 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. And on Thursday, August 23rd from 8 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. for everybody else.
So during orientation, you will be with a group of about 17 students led by an orientation leader, or OWL as we say. You'll have the opportunity to ask your orientation leader any questions and kind of get to know Lehigh and just go through before starting classes. You also have the opportunity to know other people, other first years at Lehigh, since you're going to be in a big group of people, and learn about the academic and social aspects of Lehigh.
So it looks like we're just about to see our first question. How do I know who my OL is? So as I get to start that off. So when you first come to Lehigh after you do your move-in day, you'll be following the schedule that will be given to you to check in. To follow that after you move in and grab lunch, you'll be moved into Grace Hall for our first rally, and as soon as you exit from there, you'll be organized into your respective groups, which will be told to you on the check-in sheet that you receive, as well as your orientation leader will be able to find you by standing outside as you're dismissed, your appropriate color group that we assign you. What's that? What do you want to talk about our favorite involvements at Lehigh?
All right, so so we want to start off by sharing our favorite thing about Lehigh. Oh, that's tough.
What? Lots of things.
Yeah, lots of things. I really like the interdisciplinary choices you have in academics. I personally am not involved with any of the major ones like IBE or CSP, but I'm a chemie whose minor is sustainable development, so I get to see a lot of different fields like business, arts and science alongside with my engineering degree, which I think gave me a more well-rounded experience. That's my favorite thing, I guess.
Dressers. Another question that we have is, are there dressers in Drobo, which is / like furniture in the residence halls? and they do have, depending on your residence hall, you'll have maybe different options. I know Jumbo, some of them have like some small closets, and others have like drawers. You do have your own desk where you can do homework or have stuff.
Yeah, there's always like a desk with drawers and a place to hang clothes, right?
Yeah.
In some way, shape, or form, there'll be a desk, a dresser, and somewhere to hang some clothes.
Yeah.
There'll be more than enough spaces for your clothes. And if you're looking for more space, one of the most useful things that I found are those thin plastic bins that can open up in the middle, revealing either half that you can slide underneath your bed. It's a great use of space.
So another question that we have is, for international student, what was my period of adjustment? So for me, it was kind of hard at the beginning because I was just like very far away, but something that helped me was my sister was a junior here while I was a first year. So that was really nice. And at first it was kind of hard to like find my place, but then there's a club expo at the beginning of the school year where there's just like a bunch of different clubs at Lehigh, and you can sign up and see if you like it. And after that, I like started to find my place at Lehigh and find people that had like similarities, like different like stuff. So I would say like after a few weeks after being at Lehigh, I was very comfortable and very happy how like my friends, and then like I'd still miss home, but like I could call my parents whenever I wanted. So like that was fun. And I had my sister, which like made things very nice for me.
I don't know if it's the same form, but even as a student myself from New York, I'm only a few hours away. I rarely found myself going back on the weekends. It seems like it's
There's
more of a
always
common.
something to do here.
Mhm.
So
The place doesn't really clear out on the weekends. Everyone's doing something. Even the people that live close usually stay here. The times they go back on the large breaks like Christmas, usually summer break too.
I also think if you take advantage of orientation and learn the resources and use them, it'll help you with your adjustment quite a bit.
And you'll also have your orientation leader as a resource throughout the entire like school year. If you have any questions, I'm sure they'll be like ecstatic to help you out with anything that you have.
We've been receiving some questions about the courses we'll be taking. If you have any questions about if you want to switch into a different subject or maybe switch your major from your initial decision, you'll be meeting with your college the day after you first get to Lehigh, which will be Friday. And you'll be talking with your advisor and your college respectively to sort out any of the issues that you might be having.
There will be time when you're here, quite a bit of time when you're here to, talk to your advisor, meet some professors, and sort out any schedule problems that you have.
Another question that we have is, are orientation groups random? Yes, they are. It's made that intentionally. So there's a big mix of people, so you get to meet people from like different areas. Like I know there's a mix of athletes, international students, and just a wide variety. So they're completely random.
Mix up dorm residence halls as well.
Yeah.
So that it's very rare that you'll find yourself and your roommate in another one. That's because you'll be given a chance to branch out and meet as many people as possible from not those who just live on your residence halls, but in your orientation group. And another group of students will meet in evolution further on in the year, which is something similar to orientation, but more spread out. So that's how I describe it.
Did you guys say your favorite thing about Lehigh?
My favorite thing about Lehigh, I really like the campus. It's not too big, so like you can walk from class to class, and it's not like you have to drive or like take a bus unless you're like really tired because it is uphill. But the good thing is no freshman 15. Your cats are gonna look amazing, so like don't worry about that. And I really like that. The buildings, they're like very nice. It's not something typical you see in Guatemala. And then also my favorite part is the seasons. I get to see fall, which I don't get to see back home, and it's my favorite season of all. So that's probably one of my favorite things, aside from like the people too.
So we had any questions about how far buildings and classes are from like residence halls? I would say your longest walk, you have to walk all the way across campus, is going to be like 10 minutes,
Yeah.
like tops, you're strolling. And then Lewis Lab.
It's always a tricky one.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
But it's right in the middle.
Yeah, so if you're on the main Memorial Walkway, I don't know if you should use like what flagpole is like a reference point.
Yeah, maybe a flagpole.
Yeah, if you've been, it's next to Fritz Lab, right? So if you've seen the campus already, it's between the flagpole and Taylor Gym. You walk on the Memorial Walkway, you will see it on your left if you're towards Taylor Gym.
It's sometimes hard to find on the map, but it's just about right in the middle of campus. It's right to the side of Lower Sense, right down the road from Richards, Draveau, Drinker, Upper Sense, and
to the right of Taylor Gym on the map.
Honestly, if you're worried about finding places during orientation, your orientation leader will have they'll give campus tours. So don't worry about if you're not finding things right now. You can definitely ask them to show you around. Or even any other student that you see during classes, you can be like, "Where's Lewis Lab?" and they'll happily point it out to you.
We have another question about the club fair. So the club fair is going to be the Monday after orientation. So your first day of classes at 4 o'clock. I think it's 2 hours, right? 4 to 6.
Yeah.
About. It's in the center campus. It's by the in front of the university center. You can't miss it. The orientation leaders will tell you all exactly where it is. And then there's also questions about club sports. Any in particular? But in general, some of them will be at the club fair. Some of them you'll have to look up. Don't be afraid to send an email to whoever is in charge of it. Some of them you have to try out for. Some of them you can just walk on. It depends on sport. But that's pretty much it for club sports.
Well, I think they're also, if I'm not mistaken, there's still a separate club sports fair itself, which will also, I think that's the Wednesday or Thursday after classes start, so a day or two after the regular club fair. While some club sports will be at the regular club fair, they will all also be at the club sports fair, which is later, and they'll give you all the information about when practices are, where to meet, all the information that you'd be looking for.
So there's a question about how close the train station is to campus and getting to New York City. So there's I'm not sure. There's a bus station to New York that's less than 5 to 7 minute walk from campus. The bus takes about 2 hours, and unless they've gone up in prices since the last time I took it, it's about $25 to get to me one way. $40 round trip, I think.
It's 50.
Yeah. Do you know about the train station?
I do not know about the train station.
There are buses to New York City.
Yeah,
no
it's just
buses for
to New York
sure.
City.
There's buses to New York and to Philly. And they have a schedule online so you can check times, and they're very on time. You don't have to worry about.
If you want to look it up, it's called the Transbridge Bus Terminal. And there's the
Beaver buses for Philadelphia.
And there's my bus home to the northeast areas.
My Bus Home. Okay. Beaver. Okay. And it's all on the OFYU website?
I'm pretty good. So this question is, are the residence halls closed over winter vacation? Do we have to take stuff home? So you do not need to take stuff home that you do not want. It will all be stored safe and sound in the residence halls over winter break. Most students do go home over winter break. However, I do believe that you are able to stay in not your dorm, but you.
Yeah, there's a specific place where if people want to stay, they can stay. So it probably won't be your dorm.
Which is nice. So instead of being one of the few people in your residence halls, you'll be with all the other students that will be staying. Have your own little community for those weeks that you stay here. So in that case, you would most likely want to take your stuff from your original room to your place for winter break. But my roommate, my freshman year, did that as well and found the transition very easy.
Over the summer, you have to move out though. So the next question is, when is the best time to order textbook and ways to order? So in terms of the best time, I remember my first time around, I was really stressed out. But I would wait till you get here before you get any books.
Yeah.
Talk to your professors; they'll give you some like insight onto which ones to get. And your first week you will not run into trouble if you don't have your textbook. I would get proactive about it on that first day of class, though. Talk to the professor about it if they don't talk about it in class. And then there's a bookstore right on campus for you to order your textbooks. You can order them online from the school bookstore. And did I miss anything?
Yeah, I think that's good. It's easy, like if you order online, you just go there and pick it up instead of like.
And the bookstore price matches too, right?
Oh yeah, they price match with Amazon.
Yes.
So that's nice.
So if you get something that's sold by like actually Amazon, the bookstore will price match that textbook, so you don't actually have to get it from Amazon. You can get it right on campus.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to show them the screen. So that's pretty much it.
You could rent your textbook too on from the bookstore.
From the bookstore, yeah.
Which is nice if you don't want to like keep all those textbooks.
I'm somewhat confused about the question. I don't know if you two.
Do you feel like there is less stigma about being a first year at Lehigh versus a freshman at other schools?
The
We're
way
going to talk about why we use the term first year.
Yeah. I can. All right. So the reason why we use the term first year instead of freshman is it's a more inclusive term in a lot of different ways. The first one is if you have a transfer student, they might be a sophomore or junior, but it's still their first year here, and they still go through some sort of process with us. And then also freshman, like first year includes all genders and backgrounds. And any other reasons? I think those are the two big ones. And in terms of, I don't think there's a stigma on campus in general towards first years. I don't think you'll run into a problem like when you're meeting people and you tell them you're first year, they're not going to treat you any differently. So that idea in general, I wouldn't worry too much about while you're here. I hope that answers that question.
I wouldn't say too many people are going to walk up to you on campus and say, hey, what year are you?
Yes.
Usually they view you as a college student rather than the year you are in school. Once you're here, you're always kind of at a certain level. They said, oh, you're a fellow Lehigh student. You must have done something pretty good to get here.
So another question that we have is the time during orientation, that if you have time to meet people with same major or interest. As we mentioned before, there's the college convocation during one of the days of orientation where you will be led by orientation leaders to your specific place of major. So all the students from the College of Business and Economics will be going to a specific area where your advisors and the dean from that college will talk to you. So that's the best way where you can meet people in the same college as you.
In terms of interest, there's a lot of different events that we have scheduled during orientation. Some of them are mandatory, some are not. And I think specifically the ones that aren't mandatory, if you make the extra effort and go to them, you're going to meet people that have a similar interest that brought them to those events as well. There's a lot of time built into the orientation schedule for you to go and seek out what you like to do, and you're going to meet people that also do those things when you go there. So,
This one, man. So the one question we just have is, how does evolution work? Evolution is similar to orientation, however, it's spread throughout the year, and that you have a group similar to your orientation group of random students. However, it's entirely different than your original orientation group. And you'll have, I think, 5 meetings throughout, or yes, 3 meetings, 4 meetings, sorry, numbers all over the place. 4 meetings throughout the semester with this group. You'll have one-on-one individual meetings with a very great faculty member of Lehigh University I think it's only 2 meetings now with upperclassmen or sophomore and above students at Lehigh that. Sorry. All these numbers today. 2 meetings with a faculty member that's leading your evolution group and 1 with a peer advisor to the group. You'll get an email a few weeks into school asking your availability for it. Hopefully by then your schedule's worked out and you know the times you have. And from there, everything will be transmitted to you through email, online, to tell you where your meeting place will be, what materials you should bring with you, and how to have fun with it.
So the next question we have is, does having a work-study job affect what clubs you can join? And how many clubs or activities is a good amount to join? So the first part of that question, it's hard to speak to that because every club has different meeting times and different policies. However, I would say for the most part, it will not affect your ability to join a club. The only time that it might is if your work hours overlap with something that's like essential to being in that club. And even then, you can usually work with the leadership in that club. I would say most clubs are seeking membership and should never feel like you're being difficult by trying to be a part of that club. If anything, you're helping them out and they're going to want you. And then the second part of that question was, that is up to you. Time management is something that you're going to have to learn while you're here. It's personal. Not everybody can do the same amount of things. I would encourage you to start with, especially in the beginning of your first year, start with maybe pushing yourself a little bit, wherever you feel comfortable with. And if it's too much, you can always back down a little bit. You can always take on something. So that's a little bit more of a personal case-by-case basis.
Yeah, the question we have here is, do students get discounts for Lehigh sporting events? And events for Lehigh are free, and the soccer games are. I know that many other sports are. Personally, club soccer player, I like those ones the most. And there are significantly discounted tickets when you're buying them on the Lehigh website there's a student price, and then there's just the regular admittance price. I think it could be $5 for most basketball games for students, and then it's $18 regular, maybe even $13 for regular. But there is a discount for Lehigh sporting events for students.
Sure.
I'm here to talk about your favorite thing at Lehigh. My favorite thing I'd say about Lehigh is the involvement opportunities. Back to the last question about club involvements and activities. My first year at the career fair, I tried to sign up for every possible thing just to see what I enjoyed. And while I did drop out of a lot of them, it still tried to give me a better idea of what I actually enjoyed. I think Lehigh just has some of the most opportunities out of any school there is. Just try them all.
So another question we have is about bed risers or lofting beds. What is better? The best way to go about it is you can go directly to Housing Services, which you can find on the Lehigh website, and they have all the information about what they have, what they can give you, what you can do in your residence hall.
Say lofting bed might be a more challenging, more extreme approach. Bed risers will give you a few more inches, which is usually
plenty. Storage too. I think you want to put
the beds that we have on bed risers are pretty tall.
And then lofting will give you about 4 feet underneath the bed, which most first years don't really do that. Their rooms are more than large enough to accommodate all the things, and you have plenty of space.
So the next question is, how hard is it to adjust to Lehigh classes from high school? Again, that's different for everyone, but I think the biggest adjustment is more than just the difficulty of classes. It's the fact that your schedule is less regimented by somebody else. Your classes might be in the morning, they might be in the afternoon, and you're going to have to learn to still get your work done regardless of whether you you're a morning person and
Yeah.
you have class in the morning or not. There's a lot of resources on campus to help you with that adjustment. Center for Academic Success, Writing and Math Center, among others, your advisor. And I think as long as you be proactive and use the resources that you have, the transition is not going to be too bad for you. There's a reason you are coming here, and you're going to be capable of it.
Yeah, and also like if you're having trouble adjusting your classes or like with workload, you could go directly to your professor. Personally, I've had like great relationship with my professors. If I wasn't doing too well, I'd go talk to them to see what was happening, and they were always nice to see that I understood the material. So the next question is about talking about Lehigh versus Lafayette, when it is and any other traditions. So Lehigh Lafayette is an old tradition. It's it's the football game that happens the weekend before Thanksgiving. Yes. Everyone, there's a lot of school spirit. It's an old rivalry, and it's a lot of fun. You'll see people wearing all their Lehigh attire, and really get into like the spirit of the Lehigh Lafayette game. I'd say that's one of like the biggest traditions that we have.
It's one of the oldest football traditions in college sports in general.
There's many smaller traditions that happen that week. There's
That races.
there's a turkey trot it's like a kind of like a 5K, but it's harder even though it's less distance. You run up a mountain. You have to be crazy to do it. I'm not that fit, so maybe you're better than me. I hope you are. If not, the stairs will be high. I'll definitely help you be there in one. So the question I have here is intramural versus club sports and how to sign up. So intramural is more of a relaxed, you can imagine, like pick up back in your hometown. You just assemble a group of friends and receiving notice of when intramural sports will be happening. Your team can collect points through each and every sport that you get involved in, from flag football to soccer to 2v2 basketball. I'm pretty sure we even have dodgeball now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, club sports will be a more intense form of whatever sport you're choosing. While intramural, you can play a few others, which will have much shorter seasons. Club sports will be longer. You'll have assigned practices, usually self-led, not with coaches, and you'll be meeting, you'll be assigned. Some of them have tryouts, and you'll be traveling for games against other colleges rather than other students at Lehigh.
So the question is, are there ATMs on campus, and what bank branches are there? There's a Wells Fargo right in our university center, and there's an ATM, a Wells Fargo ATM in our university center and in our bookstore. And then at Mountaintop, there's a bank called PSECU, which I am learning about as we speak. But yeah, so those are our two banks on campus, and I think those are the two ones close to Lehigh in general.
There are a few others that are right a short walk. However, and there's a Bank of America. It's all on 3rd Street.
Oh yeah, you're right.
It's close by.
Close.
If you were using cards outside of using cash, which is what most students do, or some students, you can do either. A simple trick is usually not too far away to try and withdraw funds if you need cash.
So another question is how to sign up for Gold Plus. If I'm not mistaken, you can go online and you can pay the amount that you need online. So depending on how much you want, you can put in as much money as you want. Gold Plus can be used for laundry, for dining in different areas on campus, and even in some restaurants in the Bethlehem area, you're allowed to use GoPlus, which is very convenient. So you only have to bring your student ID and like go swipe it, and it'll be great.
If you type Lehigh Gold Plus into Google, you should be able to find like a site to put money on your Gold Plus account. Yeah.
Well, yeah, another question is the bus free for Lehigh students? I'm just gonna leave those in here.
Yeah.
Or is it maybe the bus that goes to, so there's a bus that travels around campus as Lehigh is on South Mountain. So there are many opportunities throughout the hill, and there are free buses that travel most of the day from the bottom of campus and do large loops all throughout each and every place in case your legs get tired and you don't want to walk around. In addition, there is a bus that is also free that travels from the main Packer bus stop in the bottom of campus in between the Packer Church Engineering Building and the FML, which leads in case you to Walmart, the mall, sometimes takes you away on the weekend.
Yeah, it's on the weekends.
And they have a specific schedule on the website where you can see what times and when these shuttles will be available.
And then also we have something called Tracks. So that's a shuttle that, does it run all, like at night, right?
Yeah.
2, 3.
Yeah, it runs till 2, 3 a.m. to get an app on your phone that shows you where it is. And it runs all through campus and I think 1 to 2 block radius around campus. And it doesn't take you necessarily right to where, like right to your home, but there's always a stop close to where your residence hall is going to be. So yeah, there's just in general, there's a Lehigh bus app for you to track all of the buses for students. The next question we have is how many tests on average? So at Lehigh, most of our exams are 4 o'clock, so we call them 4 o'clocks.
Midterms of these finals.
Yeah, our midterms. And it depends on like what your major is. Some like coursework is more project work, but I would say the average first year will be taking 3 to 4 midterms. Like have classes with 3 to 4 midterms and finals. On the high side, 5.
Yeah.
But I mean, to this, so yeah, each class would have. Though in my experience, I have 2 midterms, no tests outside of that, and a final. So 3 per class is, I guess, the average.
Oh yeah. I was meaning each time you take a midterm, you'll probably have 4 classes or so.
Sure. That was amazing. Yeah, we call them 4 o'clocks here because all classes for undergraduate students outside of very few labs are at 4 p.m., which gives time for you to exercise, go to clubs. It's kind of like high school in the fact that you have the ability to have your afternoons free, unlike other schools where you have night classes. They're very uncommon at Lehigh. A lot of questions there.
So one of the questions is, are there fans in residence hall rooms? That I know of, the residence hall M&M is the only one that has AC on each dorm, in each room. Then the rest, they don't have any fans, so you should buy once you get here. Another question is, are there locks on closets? No.
Yeah, you could always buy one of your own. I actually don't know how well that would work. If
Yeah, some closets are just
close handed. If you are feeling uncertain about your roommate situation, your Griffin, your what here at Lehigh we call our RA or like residence hall advisor, will be able to make sure you settle out any conflict that you have with your roommate. I've heard of very, very few incidents of this ever happening.
in the common rooms, you have to swipe to get into each building, so only students should be able to get in. But outside, once you get into the building, with your swipe. There's no lock in the common room. Like your student ID should be able to get you in there.
So yeah, in your first year residence hall, there's plenty of other amenities to do, especially in the common rooms. They'll have large kitchens with microwaves and ovens if you're trying to cook, large refrigerators if you need to hold things there, which I might also advise getting a smaller refrigerator for your room. If someone doesn't know,
Convenience, yeah.
if someone doesn't know it's yours. Also, most dorms will have a form of ping pong table or pool table. Lots, I think most have 2 flat screen TVs per, lots of couches. There's a nice area to hang out and a few tables to study at as well. So
Also, there's like a tutoring program that goes for like introductory classes that visit each residence hall. There's a schedule for that you'll have access to when you stay here.
there's also have like your own residence hall will have its own big events that are just with your hall or maybe your building that you can bring into other things. Win prizes or just play the trivia nights with your friends.
So the next question is, where can I get a good bowl of pho near campus?
Oh, that's what you're giving me. My roommate freshman year my first year was from Hanoi, and so I had lots of instances of him finding food. There's plenty of restaurants that he really enjoyed going throughout South Bethlehem that was very close by that you could walk to or take me and we'd get stuff delivered, or especially on Fall Friday, which is what we call the dinner adventure that you do on your second day on campus, where you'll have a chance to try one of the many restaurants that we have to offer in South Bethlehem. And
There's so many restaurants with like different menus. There's like a lot of Mexicans. We have like Chinese.
We have there's a bunch of Southeast Asian restaurants.
Oh, yeah.
that's what we eat today.
Yeah.
There's
So,
a lot of variety.
yeah, I can't think of a particular restaurant off the top of my head. You'll have to make a decision yourself, but there'll be a few to choose from.
Maybe possibly Jenny's Kuala.
Yeah, that's part of Pho Friday, so you can try it.
Yeah, they're a Malaysian restaurant, but they're the greatest food you'll ever try. And I never had Malaysian food before I came here, but it's now at the top of my list.
How do I know who my Griffin is? And again, Griffin is just a Lehigh term for your RA. So once you get here and you move in, you might meet your Griffin during move-in. If not, you'll have your first floor meeting during orientation. And that schedule will be given to you once you get here, so there's no reason to stress out about it beforehand. You'll definitely meet your Griffin on the first day. Yeah.
Becoming a Griffin's a very competitive process. You have many people apply because it's a great position. You get to meet a lot of people. It's very fulfilling as well. The Griffins are amazing. I have many friends who have done that years here, and there's lovely experience. And I heard resounding reviews of people really enjoying their time with their own Griffins. Mine personally, my first year was awesome. He also shared a birthday with me, so that was a pretty cool thing to start off. There's so many things to connect with, not only with your Griffin, but other members of your hall when you first get to Lehigh. It's really surprising how many traits you share with other people.
During orientation, you'll have meals with your Griffin, and they have they put on events for their floors, so you'll spend a lot of time with your Griffin. No worries about that.
Yeah. So there's a question about pre-ordering tickets to sporting events, especially football. I can assure you, you will not need to pre-order tickets for the football games. The stadium is massive, except for Lehigh Lafayette, due to the large amounts of alumni.
So many people come back for that event. Yeah.
But students get first dibs at tickets before they release the ticketing to alumni. So you'll get tons of emails. You'll probably get annoyed at how many emails you send about when to buy your tickets for Lehigh Lafayette.
I think, is it if you go to more sporting events because you have to swipe in, you get a chance to get first pick for Lehigh Lafayette.
Yep.
So the more you go, the better chance of getting better seats.
If you do want to buy your tickets ahead of time, you can do it on the athletics website.
Mhm.
I should have answered the question. Sorry about that. I got ahead of myself.
So another question is about moving, when it is. It's August 20th, and they're also asked about if there will be any helpers. Yes, there will be. Griffins will be there. Orientation leaders will also be helping out. There's also going to be staff helping direct people to the parking lots and helping just get everything organized, because it can be a little bit hectic to move all that stuff. But there's definitely going to be help around if you need anything.
Wait, the 20th is just Prelusion move-in, right? Okay, so yeah, move-in is the 20th for Prelusion and the 23rd for everybody else.
Yeah. The move helpers are great. Most likely won't need to carry any of your own belongings unless you want to.
Oh, we asked that you label all of your belongings with your name and room number, so that whoever's helping you move in can make sure that your stuff gets to the right room, because that would be tracking.
I can say many times I've been to the top of the staircase with a refrigerator in my hands, and I look down and I totally forget whose it is. So I go all the way back out and find the person. Most likely it was right where I was. But I don't know.
What are some must-haves for your residence hall room? I think one is a fan, and we already addressed that. It will help you become much more comfortable. What are some people forget cleaning supplies sometimes, and it's nice to live in a clean room.
The electrical outlets, if you get power cable extenders,
Yeah,
I forgot that. And you have outlets on usually your side of the room. If you want to connect it to other places, it's great to have just a few extra extenders with power strips. But if you forget them, we have on your first day here at lunch, there's a I Forgot shop with just about anything you could possibly need for your room.
yeah. This is maybe my personal preference, but I think it's nice to bring maybe some lighting, because you're gonna have one lamp and you're gonna have your ceiling light, which can be kind of a bright white light. So it is nice to maybe bring another lamp with more of a better atmosphere.
Do you get a lamp?
You get the desk lamp, I think. No?
Mhm.
Oh no,
No.
I'm sorry. Bring your own desk lamp.
Yeah. Student alumni rally. We've been talking about a lot of rallies recently. So the question is to talk about the student alumni rally, which happens on Saturday. So you come on Thursday, and on Saturday, 2 days after, you'll be with your class of everyone in Grace Hall, where you combined with many alumni from the past 50 years of Lehigh, you'll be inducted and sort of combined in history with, this is class of 2022, so that 1960, no, 70, no. 72. It's been a long day.
It's a really nice event. I really like mine. It's something very memorable.
Lots of singing and cheering.
Another question is, are there any elevators in the residence hall rooms? No, they are not. So more stairs. You get used to it by then. At first, I know it can be tiring, but then it'll be rewarding because no question. It's for the best. Yeah.
And then the next question is, what percentage of students participate in Greek life? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's 35%.
Yeah, 30 to maybe 35 participate in Greek life. Those are not all entirely social organizations. There are many honors organizations included in that. There's even some that are a mix that combine some social aspects with some honors aspects. But then again, there are also some clubs that are more involved and combined with each other that spend more time together, is what I'm saying, than organizations that are represented through Greek means. I don't know if for instance, if you're interested in car racing, the Formula SAE, they make a race car every year that they travel as fast as you can't believe. And they spend so much time. These guys love cars, they love working on it, and they build something from scratch every year. It's fantastic. They spend so much time together and all great friends.
Yeah.
Pre-Guy's big enough that if you want to do it, you'll be able to find a home. And if you don't, you won't feel the need to. You'll be fine.
Another question is, do you need Gold Plus to do laundry in the residence hall rooms? You don't, you can use quarters too. I know sometimes it's easier just to use the Gold Plus, but if you don't want to, you can definitely just use quarters.
I use quarters the whole time, but Gold Plus is more convenient, probably.
That's some concerning solutions. A common concern may be, I know one thing that I was always fretting about coming to school is I'm not going to be best friends with my roommate. This is going to be a terrible year. And then I came down the first day and I was in a situation where I was in a triple, but I had 3 other roommates, so 4 total in a triple. It was a forced living situation because how many students they had living on campus. And at first I was all freaked out and thought, gosh, now I have 3 other people I have to be friends with to get along. And while I am still friends with 2 of them, I was perfectly fine living with them and we weren't spending all of our time together. We'd be friendly and cordial to each other, but you don't need to be best friends with your roommates. You just need to be able to live with them, which is not hard. So many other people do it as well. It's so much easier than you think. I know that for me, something as simple as we would do our homework together would just be a nice task and eases the tension that you might have.
Is that like IBE stuff?
I think it might be.
Yeah. So the question is, can student enroll in a dual degree program later on at Lehigh? You do? Okay.
Yeah. So with certain programs in the Integrated Business and Engineering program called IBE, you are allowed to apply for enrollment in the end of your first year. Sorry, catch myself sometimes. At the end of your first year, there's an application process to join the program at the end of the spring, which will then be notified over the summer. That one is, I'd say, the most difficult one to try and become a part of later on due to the seminars that you have. There are other ones such as Computer Science and Business, CSB program, which you do not really need much at all. You can declare it and go into it. You might just need to talk to your advisor to get the little things worked out. Or the other one, which is the IDEAS program, which works together science and engineering. I'm pretty sure that's also not too difficult of a process. So you can demonstrate that you're capable to maintain a decent grade point average while in the program. The advisor of the program would be happy to talk to you about the process to get into it.
So the question is, are blenders allowed in rooms? And so I'm not sure specifically about blenders. I think no. But I'm
using the magic bullet. I had a magic bullet. It's one of those smaller blenders, and that was perfectly fine. Worked quicker.
What's the resource to find this out?
The housing or services website is the best place to find what you can bring and what you can't. Or when you get there, you can also ask the reference. I know you can't have any candles.
Yeah, candles, space heaters, microwaves that aren't part of the
fridge.
There's like specific like microwave fridge that you have to get
through Lehigh, right?
AC,
through Lehigh.
And AC units as well
are not allowed.
Yeah, and these are usually because the amount of current they draw can sometimes short out the power for the rest of your building.
Yeah. I think that's
maybe more. If you have more questions about those, definitely go to the Housing Services website.
Or ask your Griffin as well. And they won't give you a fine on the first day. You can bring something with you and ask them. Say, hey, is this allowed? Be very reasonable and say, oh yeah, you can't have this, or yes, you could.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to screen share a page about bed lofting.
Yeah, I personally lofted my bed my sophomore year. That was because I just love being in forced living situations. I was in 2 people were living in a single, and we lofted our beds. However, I don't see many first years doing it.
It's up to you.
Yeah, it's really up to you though. If you want, I think you need to be vetted by housing services. This is housing, residence hall. Sorry, housing services, and they tell you if you're allowed to or not. Usually, depending on availability of the material, and someone will come help you set that up.
Actually, lots are neither provided nor constructed by the university.
Well, then I'm on there. Laws are neither constructed nor supported by provided by the university.
There's more law there.
There are more on this website. There are more locked guidelines that you can be part of. I'm wondering if funky situation they consider different. Maybe there's extenuating circumstances, but if you refer to the website that we just showed, it should answer all your questions that you have.
There are lots of or another instance. I'm not sure.
It's pretty scary.
It's pretty scary.
I just stepped ladder to hop into the thing.
Yeah, I had bed risers.
Yeah, bed risers are very common. I know lots of those.
Yeah, because it's nice. It gives you like an extra storage if you want to put like anything.
Okay, so how does the co-op? Okay, so how does the co-op program work at Lehigh, and is it hard to get accepted? So, in general, how co-op works is in your sophomore spring, I'd actually start in your sophomore fall, like looking into the program, going to career services and getting all the information that you need. Because the sophomore spring is when
they have the application come out where, well, I guess,
might be wrong. It's juniors.
no, it's
Sophomore.
I think it differs between schools, but in your sophomore year in the fall, I'd suggest looking for internship opportunities and co-op opportunities. The co-op program, I know through the engineering school, it's usually based on if you have a certain GPA and demonstrate enough interest. I think it's only 3.0 or maybe 3.25, 3.0, and you'll work the summer after your sophomore semester. Then you're back for one semester. Then you work.
No.
You stay 2.
So your first you apply sophomore spring. I'm sorry for confusion. Yeah, you apply sophomore spring, and if you get in, you take your junior fall classes over the summer, and you go work your junior fall semester. You come back for the junior spring, and then you go back to work the summer after at the same company the summer after junior year, and then you finish your degree off your senior year normally. And you're applying to the companies specifically through the Lehigh Co-op program, but it is up to the company who gets offered co-op. This has nothing to do with Lehigh.
I don't think that it's as difficult as getting an internship. I'm pretty sure it's easier to get the co-op through the Lehigh program, I guess.
A major part of it is putting in the time to apply to many different places, because it is something on top of your coursework, finding companies, applying to them. It's just you have to have a 3.0 to be like in the pool for co-op in general. And then within the company, the standard might be higher. They might be looking for somebody with 3.5, but just to get into the Lehigh's part of the process, you need a 3.0. There were a few questions we weren't able to get to, but we want to leave you with some final tips. Does anybody want to start us off?
I can start us off. My tip would be for time management. My first year, I got like a notebook or an agenda just to make sure you write all the things that you have to do, or like make sure that you do them at the time that you assigned. That really helped me to like make sure I wasn't like rushing at the end and making things like not as good as they should have. So that's like, for me, I guess it depends on how you work, but that really helped me out.
So to be successful, I'd say You have to stay on top of your work. The biggest difference between high school and college is you don't have teachers or family members or friends really telling you to get on your work. You'll have a lot more free time and it's easier to goof off. However, I think it's an easy transition from high school to college. If you can stay on top of your work in this extra free time you have, who's going to office hours, studying the material you have as you get it, putting it off until the end, and if you study as you go and do your homework as it is, the tests aren't as difficult as the internet makes it seem.
I guess my tip is to be proactive in and out of the classroom. If you come here with something that you want to do, like extracurricular wise, or maybe maybe that club doesn't exist, you can make that impact on campus right away. I know students that by the time they were in their spring semester have created entire Lehigh living communities for their sophomore semester. So come here with the mindset to make what you want out of this experience and do what you need to do to make that happen. So, thanks. So thank you so much for those of you that joined us tonight and asked some great questions. If more questions arise, you can always contact the OFYE at fye@lehigh.edu or 610-758-1300. If you had a friend that wasn't able to make it, we will post a recording of this session on the OFYE YouTube channel tomorrow. Thank you again, and we cannot wait to see you next week.
Bye.
See ya.